Can I get a motion to move back to public session? Can I get a second? Second, thank you. Call to order, opening statement. Meetings of the board are open to the public and all members of the community should feel free to participate. There are two opportunities for the public to speak. The first is the beginning of the meeting for agenda items only, and the second is the end of the meeting for other items. Any individual desiring to speak shall give his or her name, address, and the group, if any, that is represented. The presentation shall be as brief as possible, but no more than 3 minutes per individual. There are certain matters that may be brought before the board that cannot be immediately addressed in public. Such matters may be referred by the president to a board member committee and or to the superintendent for consideration and or resolution. The board vests in its president or other presiding officer the authority to terminate remarks of any individual if he or she deems it is in the best interest of those present to do so. Could I have a roll call?
Mr. Reddy,
Here.
Mr. Wall. Here. Mrs. Briamonte,
Here.
Mrs. Zhang,
Here.
Dr. Kalora,
Here.
Mrs. Tasillo,
Here.
Mr. Buckley. Here. Mr. Damari. Mr. Mann. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mike. Can we stand for a flag salute? And after we're done, can we have a moment of silence for a longtime faculty member, Regina Bandini, who passed away recently? Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. I think we saw, well, actually first, thank you to Terrence for last week for running the meeting. I was actually away on business and
It was a quick one.
yeah, it was. I appreciate that. People didn't believe I was still on a meeting 4 hours later. So I appreciate everyone coming, appreciate the board for all their time. And, we all care. We're all here for a reason. So let's get started. Tonight, we're gonna have a couple of presentations. The high school girls golf team recognition, Dr. Cascone, and then following that, we'll have our Chartwell's food service vendors. We haven't seen it in a couple of years before COVID. So personally, I know I'm looking forward to that one since it's been a while. So Scott, if you want to take over.
Sure. Thank you, President Reddy. So we're excited to have champions in our midst this evening in the high school girls golf team. I just want to read out a few of their accomplishments, and then I'll ask President Reddy as well as Dr. Kokota here and Mr. Casal to come up and join me as we present these outstanding student athletes with certificates of achievement. So they were champions thrice this season. In fact, the A Central Division champions, the Monmouth County Tournament champions, and the Shore Conference Tournament champions. The young ladies who were on the team are Alex Shaw, Mina Liang, Serena Gane, Caroline Geslak, Olivia Kim, and Natalie Klein. And finally, Serena Gane was the state champion in the girls golf tournament. So she is we have the #1 high school female golfer is from Holmdel High School. That is a amazing achievement. There are schools that never see one tournament of champions winner, and we have one in our midst tonight. So we look forward to honoring you this evening. How about a round of applause for our champion girls golf team? Okay, much ado about nothing. The girls golf team is coming on the 28th. All my previous comments and accolades withstanding. And you know what? For an accomplishment such as that, it deserves to be stated twice publicly. So we look forward to seeing them on the 28th in person.
Thank you, Scott. I'm sort of looking in the audience going, okay, I know about 3 or 4 or 5 of those girls. And I'm like, I do not see the Ganas in the family. And what Scott didn't say a few years ago, Mega Gana, if there's any golf fans out there, Mega Gana was on NBC and, literally in the running on day 3 of the US Open. And I just remember that the interview she had, and I know she was in my senior's math class. And she was on NBC and she's like, oh, my friends will bring me right down to earth again when I get home, in a few hours. And she's like, I also have a calculus test tomorrow. So it was really interesting and amazing family. And to me, to have her sister be #1 in the state, and by the way, she's a sophomore. She's not a senior, so she's a sophomore. So I don't know what she does next year to, like improve on this. I mean, what do? You're number one in
Win
the
it again.
state. And your sister's going to Stanford playing golf, which is where Tiger Woods played golf back in the day. So really impressive, just wow. So we'll see them in a couple weeks. Next, Chartwell's Food Service. So for those in the audience, Chartwell's is our food service provider for the past, God, I want to say at least 10 years. It's been a while. It's been a good run. I know as long as I've been on the board, they've been our food service provider. And a few years ago when you guys were here, you went over through our top 10 lists and the different schools and the different things we did. And Bill Gorichter's from Advocate, who's our food service liaison. So I want to thank you guys for all you've done. Obviously, we haven't had a lot of times years ago, you might remember 10 years ago, maybe a decade or even longer, like a lot of there were issues, not you guys, but issues, food service things, the Marley's drink food incident, a lot of those things. So we, knock on wood, we haven't had anything like that. If anything, we haven't seen many complaints over the years at all. So appreciate that. So the floor is yours for the next bunch of minutes.
Well, thank you very much. And that certainly is our goal. We don't want to have any issues. Is that better? So certainly that's our goal. We don't want to have any issues and work really hard to do that. Bill Gorichter's not here with us tonight, but I'll tell you, Sean Walsh from Advocate is here representing Advocate. I think they're certainly a great partner as well. My name's Gene Sanchez. I'm the Vice President for Chartwell's. I wanted to certainly come here, say hello, and answer any questions if need be, but I'm going to turn the show over to Chef Carey and Scott Thibodeau. You may know that Lauren Walsh, our director, is out having a baby now. So Chef Corey's wonderfully taken the reins for the last couple of months. Scott?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for the time. It's nice to be here and talk about what we've been doing in Holmdel. So a few quick points that we're going to hit today. I'll introduce you to the team that's boots on the ground every day and some of the support that we have on a daily basis for the team. Go over what's happening in Holmdel and our focus on healthy. And then what we have exciting and new for Holmdel students in the future. We have a couple of new exciting programs that will be rolling out next year that were just launched nationally recently. So our on-site manager team, we have, as Gene said, Lauren Barry, who's been here for quite a few years now. You might know her. She is currently, her and her husband welcomed the birth of their daughter in late March, Michaela Ray. So she's currently on leave of absence. We're looking forward to getting her back in the very near future. But holding the fort down in her stead is Chef Carey here, who's been doing a fantastic job and he joined us last March and has brought a lot of new and creative ideas, and we'll be sharing some of those tonight with everybody. Myself, Scott Thibodeau, I am area director. I cover multiple districts in New Jersey. I'm here to support wherever I can, Lauren and Carrie. I've been with Chartwell's now for a year. Spent my prior 14 years. I was district manager Mercer County with Starbucks Coffee Company. So learning the ropes here and in K-12 and really excited to be here. And as he introduced himself, our regional vice president, Gene Sanchez. And we have Gaetano Mastrangelo. He's our executive chef. He goes by Chef Guy. I brought him out actually a couple times this year to the district to meet with Chef and with Lauren, just to brainstorm, find some new creative ideas so we can bring some new things to the students. It's always a partnership in there. And like always, we also have our regional dietitian, Amy Brenton, who helps us with, making sure that we are serving the healthiest and freshest foods we can to our students. And she's always a resource that we leverage in the field. So what's happening in Holmdel? So in the last year, right? So we got back to, I guess, probably the first year being a parent myself, normal. Really a focus on here in Holmdel, fresh, minimally produced processed foods. So we've really put a focus on fresh fruits and vegetables. We've gotten rid of this. You will not find canned vegetables here. We primarily go with fresh, frozen if we have to, but really a lot more cooking from scratch. I know chefs introduced, bringing in meats like doing ribs, pulled pork, cooking from scratch versus packaged food. So it's really up-leveled our food game here in Holmdel. And from a creative standpoint, some of the examples he's definitely introduced some new flavors and profiles to the students. And also a lot of this is going to be on trend. So some of the examples of more creative cooking, sweet Thai chili shrimp and chicken poke bowls, falafel, noodle bar, the ramen on trend. So he's introduced noodle bar. We've introduced that to the kids. Fish tacos with pico de gallo, shredded cabbage, cilantro, lime, crema on a soft tortilla, really in line with when we see surf taco in our neighborhood. So, really, of course, every day, there's always a selection of salads for all of our students. And really one thing that chef's done a great job of this year is introducing, instead of just buying, though we have some, but bottled salad dressings, we're making a lot of fresh in-house salad dressings daily for our students. So from, healthier options, like I spoke to before, always fresh fruits and vegetables. You could see in some of the pictures from the coffee shop, cubed watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew melons, like I said, fresh salads every day. Really, even when we're looking at like expanding on favorites, you can see in the picture in the top right, I was talking about, we do pasta every single week. Why don't you be a revolt if we change from pasta? I was told. So I was like, hey, let's add fresh vegetables. So you could see we're roasting vegetables on pasta day to add vegetables into that meal for our kids in the community. So those are a few things we're doing from a communication standpoint. We're regularly, in the beginning of the year, Lauren met with PTA to meet with some of the parents, regularly meeting with principals, YAC meetings with our students to get their input on what they like and what they don't like and what we can do differently for them. And, and I think that's an ongoing conversation. Like I said, they'll let us know. One thing you should be really proud about with the students here at Holmdel is when we change something or we try to do something and they'll let us know. And so we really try quickly to make the changes for your students. And then I'm going to hand it over to Chef Gary just to talk about, our top 10 entrees that we have in both the high school and the middle school and in your elementary school.
Thank you. Nice to be here. So our number one item in the high school, as it's been for as far as I can tell ever, is the pasta bar. I brought up the idea one day of maybe making it a day other than Thursday, and I was immediately shot down that we can't change pasta day from Thursdays. It has to be Thursdays. We've introduced Hen House Fridays this year. It's a kind of like a chicken sandwich bar where the kids will come up. They can choose whether they want regular crispy chicken, spicy crispy chicken, grilled chicken, on a bun, cheese, no cheese, bacon, tons of toppings and sauces. They get to come up and create their own sandwich. The boneless buffalo wings have been a big hit. Just a really simple boneless buffalo wing, breaded, fried, buffalo sauce. They love burger bars. Macaroni and cheese is made mostly from scratch. Jill does a really nice job with that. The kids love her recipe, so she's been going with it for a while. Tempura chicken, we've been doing sweet and sour chicken for years, but we changed it up this year, adding a Thai chili sauce, a homemade teriyaki, just trying a few different things, mixing in some, instead of just white rice, doing a fried rice with fresh vegetables. Chicken and waffles sandwiches are always a hit with the kids. Quesadillas, taco bars, popcorn chicken. I mean, the kids, for the most part in schools, they like the classics. They like what they like. Pizza in elementary schools, always going to be, especially in New Jersey, New York, these areas, you're always going to be big on pizza. Pasta in the elementary schools isn't quite as extravagant as we may do in the high school, but kids like buttered noodles. We use a smart balanced spread, so it's a little bit healthier. I mean, it's buttered noodles. It's never going to be particularly healthy, but quesadillas are made from scratch. The breaded chicken drumstick was a new item that we started this year. That's been going over very well at Indian Hill. It's a Tyson product. It's oven baked. It's a nice crispy chicken leg, and the kids have loved it so far. chicken nuggets, and chicken tenders, always a hit, popcorn chicken, hamburgers, the same thing, mac and cheese, and turkey hot dogs.
Who doesn't like a good turkey hot dog?
They love these hot dogs. So that's our top 10 for entrees.
No desserts, no cookies?
Entrees.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I was like,
Like we said, what about cookies? No, I'm kidding.
We have them. It's just not a top 10. We don't have the salad bar on a daily basis, but we have freshly made salads. Yeah, and the elementary schools do too. They go more in the hill than at village. But they do. I mean, we go through that state so that.
can you flip back a slide for a second?
Oh, absolutely.
I just remember about when you guys were here last 4 or 5 years ago. I forget what it was. Eileen, I know you were probably here. And I remember you guys did the top 10 list. And I remember it was sort of eye-opening, at least for myself, because I'd wonder, like obviously elementary schools have a different thing and then the high schools have a different way they do it. But I'd be curious if I could pull back my old notes is to compare a few years ago to now. Obviously, you have a lot more choices than we did, I know, 4 years ago. So I can definitely see you guys have definitely, moving as Trinity Han and all the other high school kids are asking for what they ask for. So, definitely, it's, the things you may want to see on there. This is kids, right? Kids are going to eat what they're going to eat. That's why I was like, where are the cookies? Because cookies and ice cream. And, I know my son gets sandwiches every day. I don't really see it on there, but, he's in the minority, I guess.
So, I mean, it's iterative, right? We're always working on what we want. And then it is always a program that's defined by the partnership. We work with the district to figure out what's the right thing for students and what do they want students to eat. So we're always working towards finding out what the right is. There's no one answer for anything to do. But what you do see here is a lot more.
Sarika, can you mic up? Thanks.
It's good to give them what they want, but they're children and we have to make sure they have healthy options available that they like, that they can go to. I see this is great, but I see a lot of chicken and cheese and carbs, but a salad bar that they can go to pick what they want and make a sandwich that they want, if they could, I think should be available on a daily basis and made so presentable that they go to it, because we owe it to our children to have healthy options available.
I agree with Dr. Kalora on that as well. I was going to ask, the salad bar is only once a week?
So the salad bar, we haven't done a lot. We were throwing out, I would say, probably 75% of the salad bar that was put out every day. So it comes at a certain point, it comes to, do we throw out the product or do we switch over to a pre-made salad in a box that's in a container that we make every day for the kids that will move that will go through that.
Is that part of the daily option? What's the
It is a
daily?
daily.
What's
So we will have 2 to 3 different kinds of salads every day. Buffalo chicken salad, Caesar salad, a garden salad. We've been doing strawberry and mixed greens and grilled chicken. stuff
what's the
like that.
response on those?
They go slowly. I mean, they're kids.
Sure.
They're gonna eat. These are the things that they're gonna. So while these may be the entrees, it's not the only thing that's available. So this is the main entree of the day, but there's always the fresh deli bar that's available. There's always salads in the case. We have fresh fruit cups. We have yogurt parfaits.
There's
I-
always cookies.
There's always cookies too.
I believe what Dr. Kalora is saying, which I agree with, is to try to be creative and encouraging healthy eating. So if we're offering the salads, that's great. But then when you have all these other selections, no one's going to consider that. So I don't know if there's a way we can strategize to try to encourage the kids to, you don't want to force the kids to eat salad, but if they have all these other options, they're probably not going to stop by there.
So we did a taco salad bar for lunch yesterday in the high school and middle school. Fresh lettuce, a little bit of shredded cheese, some tomatoes, olives, crispy tortillas, everything that you would get in a taco salad if you went somewhere else. And we did about 20% of the sales that we do on a in-house on that station. So we're trying to do stuff like that, but it takes time for the kids to kind of change their habits.
I can tell you, Chris and Sarika,
Could you
your
have-
guys' exact conversations is exactly the same conversation we had 4 or 5 years ago. I remember it, Joe Hammer and whoever else was, sitting up here with us. It was the same, similar conversations, because I agree with you, because they're like, well, why the heck are they eating cookies and ice cream? Because it's the path of least resistance and they're kids, and I remember the conversations was, why does Village and Indian Hill don't have Boar's Head while the high school has Boar's Head? And the answer was, well, they don't eat as many sandwiches. And if you want to spend more money, because Boar's Head costs more money, we can certainly have that. But a lot of your same concerns, absolutely same concerns from a few years ago. And, it's like you're herding cats, right? You're trying to get them to get there and you try to offer to them, but sometimes they don't take what you want them to eat.
But
And
maybe
just
have a
keep in
smaller
mind-
quantity available, so it's available, but you're not throwing it away. Maybe have it as an option, but smaller quantity rather than
Well, that's
abandon
what I
it
think
altogether.
That's what you're doing on a daily
No.
basis. There's salad.
But those are pre-fixed, pre-made in a bottle and in a box, and they're not going anyway, he said. They're not going
Right.
fast either.
So we go through probably 15 salads a day, just as prepackaged salad, and that's just in the high school. I would say Indian Hill goes through a few. I would be lying if I said it's a huge seller, but we have them available every day, and we try to make them as appealing and fresh and wholesome as we can.
And just keep in mind that parents can stop their kids from ordering cookies. Like you can block you can call, yes, you can call the school or email the school. And you can tell them, I don't want my kid ordering 2 cookies every day and a large ice cream every day, because I've had to do it.
a lot of those requests.
It's 100%. Yep.
Let's say, I do want, as we get to the end of this, we do have some new programs that are coming. I think one of them is going to satisfy some of your questions. And then the salad bar issue coming out of COVID has been a big issue in schools. We took the first thing away from it until getting into this year. We're starting to get that. That's also part of it. I think we need to-
I apologize for making you do the top 10 list, but I know that a couple of years ago, it's a good conversation. It's an important conversation. Yeah, it's a good conversation because it's eye-opening and it's real as opposed to everything's great, everything's this, and it's what they eat.
No, absolutely.
And, we like nothing more than to have your kids eat. So how can you get them to eat? You can put money on their My Payments Plus. That's how a parent would sign up for their children. You would load money on, you can pay for meals. Parents can view what the students are purchasing from there. You can receive low balance alerts when the account is getting lower, and you can enroll in an auto pay to replenish as it gets to a certain point. And for any parents that have questions or concerns around My Payments Plus, but in general, any questions, we really welcome feedback from parents or any questions that you might have. You can reach both Lauren at albarry@holmdelschools.org or Chef Carrie at C. Brainsdorfer, it's a little longer, at holmdelschools.org. I will say, if you emailed Lauren right now, it will direct you actually to Chef. So her out of office is on. That's right.
My only comment there, and there might be someone in the audience that might echo my thought, is 2 things. So current seniors, Ms. Hahn, Trinity, if you have a balance in your account, reach out to Chartwell's so that your parents get your money back, just letting you know. And the other thing is, yes, you can reload on your site for sure, but I believe there's also a 2 or 3% fee. So you can also send a check to the Holmdel Board of Education, which gives you no fee. So you get 2.5% more on for your dollar, just letting you know. Or cash, exactly. Thank you.
And then what's next? So we have a couple of programs coming out that we'll be introducing in Holmdel. They just launched nationally. So we have, the first one is Global Eats, and Chartwell's K-12 chefs and dietitians. They developed Global Eats really to encourage students to eat together, taste new foods and flavors while learning about different cultures. So the unique ingredients and traditions of various cultures incorporated into school meals keeps menus and lunchtime exciting, reflecting authentic recipes created in partnership with a series of celebrity chefs. So we've partnered up with 4 celebrity chefs. This coming year, we're going to make 4 different stops, and there'll be a celebrity chef tied to each. So there are some different videos. I think this would play really well to the middle school when we're really rolling this out, putting maybe a TV in the cafeteria during some of these rollout weeks that we're focusing on specific regions. So we have China, where we have celebrity chef Tilla, and then we have India with Arti Sakira, and then Italy with Michael Toscano, and Mexico with Jonathan Zaragoza. And each one of those regions, we have about 20 to 30 recipes that we partnered up and developed that are for K-12. We say K-12 appropriate options. And there's a lot of different swag that goes along with them to encourage the kids where they can get their passport and as they're going through this process. So we do plan on launching that next year for the students here in Holmdel. The other key program that we have coming out next year, which we're really excited about, is Veg Out. Really, in surveying school-age students, Chartwell's found 1 in 3 rated vegetarian or vegan options extremely or very important when choosing lunch at school. So 37% they would eat school lunch more often if there were more vegetarian and vegan choices. So, that intel, along with just research that consumer interest in plant-based diets is really high right now, led us to kind of put together this program. So we partnered with the CIA Healthy Kids Collaborative and other industry leaders to create over 120 vegan and vegetarian options. A few of those recipes being a watermelon poke bowl, Tuscan bean and basil penne salad, tofu huevos rancheros, Thai sweet chili tofu bowl, and sweet potato and spinach vindaloo are just some of the examples of some of the options that will be rolling out next year through Veg Out in the schools.
And I'd add on this particular concept, it's really the diversity of New Jersey that drove us to get this started. We've seen a lot of demand for it in the state. We actually started this program developing about 4 years ago. We found that really working on.
When you say 30% is vegetarian on a daily basis, there'll be some options, or just 1 day a week, to make it 30%? That's surveyed.
This will be a station that will be available.
On a daily basis, starting September? Okay.
That's the one I was talking about.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you. Board members, any comments, questions, concerns?
I wonder if it would be possible to talk to them on a one-on-one at a separate time and, just discuss.
Can I tell you where this works best? We have that level of communication and working together.
And I think if I'm correct, you guys used to have meetings, or you still might, with the different PLGs, PSAs, all the different school, different groups and
So
stuff,
We're generally at back to school night.
right?
We try to meet each PTO during the year, and then we definitely meet with high school.
Okay. Appreciate it. Trinity, since you're a senior, right? You've been through this district all 12 years. Concerns, comments, love their food service, or our current junior, not to put you on the spot. This is your time. You could open fire.
Honestly, as someone who's mainly brought lunch to school, I can't say I can speak very accurately, but when I see my friends always in the lunch line, and there's this thing where a lot of students who bring lunch will go with their friends to the lunch line to keep them company. And when I see all the options available, I think especially this year, the options have become much more diverse. I know students really appreciate having the different entrees every day so that the venue doesn't get tiring, but it's always exciting to go to lunch. And regardless of whether you're in kindergarten or you're a senior, everyone's always excited to go to lunch and just race in the lunch line and get their food. So I think the department has always done such a great job while I've been in the district.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
I would say that, no question, the high school's in decent shape. Maybe we could talk, like Shrika said, we could talk about some of the lower schools. Potentially, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yep. Have a good night. Well, that was good. Thanks, Mike, for making it happen. I know I've been asking for a while, especially since after COVID, usually want to talk about something before it's a problem. And obviously we haven't, we don't get a ton of emails on the food service. So it seems like everything's going pretty well there. But my recommendation is we see them at least once a year. They're one of our biggest subcontractors in the district outside of transportation and, busing and things like that. So they're important. And obviously the kids have food and what they eat is important so that the teachers can, educate kids that aren't as sleepy or, on sugar highs and everything else. So that done with the presentation. So now we have the report of the superintendent. Dr. Cascone. If I could read better, that's my mistake. So ladies, Trinity, is this your last meeting? Did we drop the ball in terms of,
I think we're supposed to go to the June 28th one,
okay, June 28th.
or whichever the June meeting is.
Is that gonna be?
We have the June
awards.
14th awards.
Oh, you guys go to
meeting,
that, 'cause we gotta,
So that would probably be an appropriate
good,
one at
good,
which
good.
we can
Yeah,
also thank you for.
because I
your
do not
service as well.
expect you to come here as an alumni after June 20th, because if you want to, that's fine, And you guys don't know who the new junior class rep's gonna be, right? Okay, all right, so take it away.
Thank you. To begin with some news for the class of 2023, the Student Council will be hosting a movie night in the HHS auditorium on Friday, June 2nd from 7 to 9 p.m. Admission is free and there will be snacks. We will be watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off and we hope many of you will attend. Additionally, the Student Council will also be hosting a bagel breakfast on Thursday, June 8th. Yearbooks will also be distributed at this time, so please be sure to attend. Furthermore, the senior prom will be held in 2 short weeks on May 9th at the Sheraton Hotel. As important reminders, prom court nominations are due this Friday, May 26th, and prom seating arrangements are due June 2nd. Both Google Forms can be found in students' emails and on the class Instagram. Lastly, project graduation permission slips and Sportica waivers were released last week. Both are due to the project graduation box in the high school main office by June 13th. The event itself is taking place on June 20th, right after graduation, and I hope all seniors will attend. And in other news, the spring band concert jointly performed by the SATS and high school ensembles will be held next Wednesday, May 31st at 6:30 in the HHS auditorium. And the freshman car wash fundraiser will be held on Saturday, June 10th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The class of 2026 is currently looking for supply donations, so please refer to the HHS daily announcements for the sign-up link. Thank you, and I will now hand it over to Nugna to complete the student report.
This past Friday, the class of 2024 just had their junior prom. We hope everyone had a great time and congratulations to our prom king and queen, AJ Fernandez and Marissa DiNardo. In addition, the high school is once again having their student council elections. Voting just closed today, so now we are waiting for the results. In addition, the Battle of the Classes is taking place June 2nd. Leading up to the event, we are doing a spirit week in which the lineup of themes includes college apparel, USA, beach day, and class colors. The SAB parking raffle is also taking place next week with the coveted SAB parking spot right in the front. We are selling the week of May 30th to June 2nd, and then the winning ticket is being pulled at Battle of Classes on Friday, June 2nd. Tickets are only $2, and you can purchase 3 for $5 and 7 for $10. In other news, Holmdel High School is reviving the iconic Lip Dub and are filming on June 8th, working to incorporate many of the clubs and teams in the high school. Lastly, class of 2024 is doing a throw a balloon at your favorite teacher, which is essentially a pie your teacher, but with water balloons. The event is taking place by the flagpole next Wednesday with balloons only costing $1 a piece. This concludes the student report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Any comments, questions for our student reps? Okay. The only thing I would add is great job last month on, or a couple weeks back, the Relay for Life. I mean, I know you guys were both there. I know that was a really good event, second annual. I think last year they raised $10,000 and I think this year was like $14,000. So obviously succeeded, job done. My only, feedback, and I know Dr. Cascone, you were there earlier. I know I was there at the very end. Really great lighting ceremony at the very end. And I know I just always wonder if is it too long? And then because I always want to I know there was a lot of people there early walking, but I know there's a ton of your students in the field playing and doing a great job. But I just always wonder if we could get more of a community involvement in terms of cancer survivors, because everyone knows someone that has had cancer, died of cancer, or going through cancer at that point. So that would be my only thing. We get more people next year when you're a senior. So.
Well,
But
and
that's
also
good.
with that is that Dr. Kokoda shaved his head because of the amount that they raised.
Yes,
in
he did.
school. I saw a picture of the
Looks like it's
barber.
growing in though.
Sort
so.
of.
I know, you really did a high and tight. You didn't shave it. Like
Yeah.
you should have shaved it. Come on, next year.
I mean, last year he was taped to the wall last year, 4 feet above the ground. So, yeah, so that's pretty good. So Dr. Cascone.
And thank you, Mr. Reddy. Good evening, members of the board, our student reps, our staff and administrations, attendants, member of the community. Thank you for being here tonight. So we're coming up on a long holiday weekend. Of course, we'll have an early dismissal tomorrow and be off Friday and Monday. An observation of what is obviously a very important holiday we observe in our nation, Memorial Day, where we acknowledge all of the brave men and women who have died in service to this country, paid the ultimate sacrifice. And so while we enjoy the company of family members and friends and barbecues, I would just ask everyone in joining me and just taking a moment over the course of the weekend to just reflect and remember all those who have made that sacrifice and their families. When we come back from Memorial Day, we're moving towards the end of the year. I want to just commend all of our students and also staff who were involved in our administration of our much beloved state testing. Our students performed well and grinded through it. And we always appreciate them putting their noses to the grindstone and doing that work amidst their many other responsibilities. While we plan for our end of year commencements and graduation ceremonies, moving up ceremonies, we are actively preparing for sort of our next phase. While many of our staff members and students sort of depart for the summer, we also have quite a number of staff members and students who get back to work, whether that's through our extended school year program for special education students, or through our summer step-up program or our performing arts enrichment program. We have a lot going on. And that is also amidst the absolutely Herculean undertakings of our buildings and grounds departments as they really get into our buildings, deep clean those, a number of projects that will be ongoing, not to the scale that we've seen in the past few years, but there's always work underway, renovations. For example, at Village School, we are renovating the grade 2 and 3 library to create additional classroom spaces, to in turn create additional classroom spaces to add 2 pre-K sections to Village School. So always a lot going on. And I would just thank our buildings and grounds and maintenance departments in advance for all the work they do and really balancing that with how busy our buildings are. Of course, our spring sports seasons are coming to a close. We have a number of teams that continue to engage in postseason play, and we also obviously have a lot of concerts and plays. I had the pleasure and privilege of seeing the middle school play last week, and I always enjoy watching our student performers. Something I wanted to bring to the community's attention, which came across my desk this week, which I think is a real feather in the cap of our school district, our staff, and our students, was a research study that was done by Harvard and Stanford, which was actually the second installment of what's called the Education Recovery Scorecard. And this scorecard offers a comparable view of district-level learning loss that occurred as a result of the pandemic. The findings state that the average U.S. public school student in grades 3 through 8 lost the equivalent of a half of a year of learning in math and a quarter of a year in reading. And that is not the case in Holmdel. In fact, this study showed that Holmdel was the only school district I'm going to repeat that, the only school district in all of New Jersey that demonstrated academic gains during the pandemic, half a month in math and over 1 month in reading. And again, that's in grades 3 through 8. And so obviously this premise of learning loss, or sometimes referred to as schooling loss, is something that's been in the minds of our community, of our board. And so I thought that the community would be reassured and proud, right, of the efforts of our students and staff. Now, that's not to say that, and as we presented transparently, that we don't have pockets within the K through 12 band where we have experienced some learning loss. But our youngest learners, the foundation of our school system, are performing and have recovered quite well. And I think that's a testament to a number of things, some of which occurred prior to my arrival in the district, which was the district's commitment and our teachers and administrators' commitment to getting into school and getting our kids in as soon as possible, but also some of the outstanding programs that our supervisor of supplemental services, Denise Rubel, has brought in place through our summer step-ups. And of course, the teachers who have staffed those have really made that difference for our students. So I thought that was worthy of acknowledgement for our district. And just a final update, and I'll be providing a more detailed update to the community at the June meeting. I wanted to provide a public update on our strategic action plan. This was obviously an initiative that we've been working on, particularly over the course of the second half of the year. Upon my arrival and even in my interview process, one of the things I talked about with the board was really what I felt was the need to develop a long-range plan for our district, whereas there hadn't necessarily, while there were goals and there was, of course, the referendum which had with it a certain degree of a vision, there wasn't necessarily a 5-year plan that had been formed by comprehensive stakeholder feedback that would enable us to focus our efforts over the course of the upcoming years, focus them in terms of our budgetary conversations, focus them in terms of our professional development, our curriculum discussions. And so the power of this work is real. So, over the course of the last half of the year, we've been engaging in gathering feedback. That's been done through surveys, that's been done through a focus group. It's been done through looking at our own internal data, whether that's previous surveys we've administered or our existing student achievement data. And from that data emerged 4 strategic intents, sort of categories, if you will. And those intents were, not surprisingly, teaching and learning, culture and climate, parent and community education, engagement and partnerships, and finally is organizational systems, and more specifically, sort of human resources systems. Shortly, starting on June 13th, the first of 3 task force meetings will occur. These task forces are made up of multiple different stakeholders, staff, administration, parents. We are still in the process of recruiting the final parents for those groups. And each of those task forces will develop detailed action plans that will then be forwarded to the board for their consideration. And I should note that we actually do have a Board of Education representative on each of our task forces in order that the board's lens and perspective is represented therein. We'll be prepared in June to provide a pretty good update on where we are with that action planning. Over the course of the summer, that plan will be refined and be prepared to present to the public in September to help inform our district goal setting, our board goal setting, and all that we do in the district. So this promises to be really important work, inclusive of all of our stakeholders, and I look forward to presenting in greater detail on that at the June meeting. And that, Mr. President, is my report.
Thank you, Scott. Enrollment data?
Yes, sir.
Actually, first, I think I need a motion to, actually, we didn't do it before, a motion or show of hands. So we're good with that. Okay. Enrollment, thank you.
Right. So the total enrollment, and this is as of May 24th, is 2,951 students. That is 815 students at Village, 660 students at Indian Hill, 523 students at SATS, and 953 students at the high school.
Thank you. Any HIB report?
There is one HIB report which I do submit into the record with the qualification that due to other matters on the executive session, that I did not have an opportunity to brief the board on that report, but will ensure that I do so at the subsequent closed agenda meeting in advance of the board's affirmation vote.
Thank you. Brings us to questions or comments from the public on action items only. So if any people like to speak, come on the agenda, yes. Name, address, and all that good stuff, Mr. Dowd.
Sean T. Dowd, 12 Primrose Court, parent, teacher, raconteur. I am here to say a few words about a gentleman who's on the agenda tonight. I'm going to tilt this a little so I can make some eye contact. Yankees, Mets, Brooklyn, Jersey, Goofy, Stern, great taste, less filling. Mr. Dowd, Mr. Loughran. Proof that you do not always have to be exactly alike or on the same page every day to work together and succeed. I want to take a moment to say a few words of thanks to Bill, as I assume many others will tonight. When I found out that Bill would be retiring, I sent him a quick email, and in it I said three things. First, I said, it was a pleasure, followed immediately in parentheses by mostly. I think he knew what I meant by that. I often have questions and concerns, and I tend to voice these concerns, as some other principals in the room, both past and present, Dr. Dakota, Mrs. Vitale, Mr. Howard, all know very well. Bill and I didn't always see eye to eye, and sometimes even went toe to toe. But in the end, we did it because we were advocating for the students and the staff at the schools, and then we would just avoid each other for a few days. The second thing I said was I wanted to let him know that whenever his name came up with parents, colleagues, students, people from the public, I always said the same things. He gets the trains running on time, and he cares. And if you take anything with you tonight and going forward, please take that. The third thing I said was that with his departure, Holmdel would be missing a big piece of the puzzle, one that had been nestled snugly in place for 35 years. Sticking with that metaphor, Bill, I must say you will always be a puzzle piece to me, probably an edge. A very special memory that I want to share is I will never forget Bill's kindness and concern the night my son Jack passed away. He was the first one to offer a hug at the hospital and checked in often to make sure I was okay in the following weeks and months. Underneath that gruff exterior is a caring heart, and one that bleeds Holmdel blue. In closing, I'll say one final thing that only a true Springsteen fan would recognize as he moves on to better things. Hey, son, you want to try the big top? All aboard, Nebraska's our next stop. Good luck, Walla Billy, on your next circus.
Good evening, Chantal Simonelli, Vice Principal at SATS. I wanted to share my sincere appreciation for Bill's contributions and dedication to the Holmdel School District for over the past 35 years. Being an oldie in this district, I am not sure that many people realize just how integral Bill has been in the fabric of Holmdel schools and community. As a teacher here for 17 years, he taught all levels of English from remedial freshman to AP and was named Teacher of the Year in 2005. He was also the cross-country track coach for those 17 years, winning 3 group championships, named top 3 in the Shore, top 10 in New Jersey. He was also named Conference, State, and Northeast Coach of the Year. No surprise that he became vice principal and then principal at the high school, where his forward-thinking vision established a safe driving program, along with countless other innovative and first-of-their-kind programs to the school district before any other of the area schools did such as our flourishing theater and dance classes. In his 10 years as principal here, Holmdel High School continually ranked in the top high schools in the state, and in his last 2 years, it was ranked number 7. Bill was an integral part of bringing in the rotating schedule to the high school and at SATS. That is now being modeled by other districts in this county. Under Bill's leadership, SAT's rotating schedule provided students with the opportunity to select from 20 new electives. Electives such as forensics, creative media, mythology, robotics, advanced art, biotech, just to name a few. His vision for the students was for them to take a journey through the complex, allowing them to experience all of the possibilities that await them in high school and beyond. Lastly, Bill as a colleague has always been there to support and guide us, problem solve, innovate. He was and still is the go-to guy, always availing himself for anyone who needed a helping hand and always going the extra mile. Just like he said, Bill definitely bleeds blue. He is a Holmdelian by proxy. I think his 35 years have proved that. Bill, I'm so grateful for everything you have done for me over the last 15 years that I've known you, especially supporting me as a leader. I truly appreciate all of the disagreements we've had. We definitely are both headstrong. I appreciate all of the collaboration, all of the laughs, and there's been many of them, including the tears. I truly am going to miss you. And I appreciate so much all of the work that we've done together. I wish you nothing but the best. I especially wish you a lot of relaxation, a lot of happiness, and enjoy your freedom.
Good evening. Lisa Vitale, principal, Indian Hill School. I don't have a speech prepared. I'm going to wing it like Bill normally does when he comes up here. I feel like we've kind of earned that to be able to do that. You know, Bill, what can you say? Bill has been here 35 years, no different than what anybody else has said. He has truly been a mentor. He is a child advocate. He supports his staff. He supports the community. I remember our first admin meeting. I'll never forget this. Here I am, fresh into Holmdel, working under Mr. Howard, sat in an admin meeting. He starts talking the way Bill talks. And I said, I am never speaking at one of these meetings ever, because of, I can't even compare to what's coming out of this man's mouth right now. So, you know, there is nothing that Bill doesn't know about Holmdel. There is not a fact that he doesn't know. There's not a sport event that didn't happen that he can't give you the date and the time and the year that it happened. He's just been such an amazing part of this district. I can tell you that personally, he's been a mentor for me. Some of my favorite memories are actually working at Holmdel High School under his leadership. We used to have a joke. We never told him this, but he was on a need to know basis sometimes. So when there are things that happen that we can handle without Bill getting involved, we absolutely took care of it, Chantel and I, and then Joe, just to kind of keep his plate somewhat clean, because he likes to get into everything, as you guys know, as Bill always does. He just wants to be involved, and he wants to always do what's best for kids. And, you know, that is a person that belongs in a district like Holmdel. That is a person that should be aspiring to be an administrator such as as Bill was. His staff being here to support him just shows you, you know, the hats that he's worn in this district and the impact that he's had. I am going to truly miss him because, like I said, he's always been that go-to person. If you ever have a question, we joke about it all the time. It's like, did anybody call Bill? Bill will know the answer. He always does. So I just wish you all the best from the admin team. On behalf of the admin team, I'm speaking now. He, you know, has been an HTAA union leader for many, many years. And now he's been my partner, which I'm going to have to find someone else if anybody out there wants to take the job. But Bill, I wish you all the best. I wish you nothing but health, happiness, freedom to do and take this next step wherever you want it to take you. Just know that you are loved, you are adored here, and your administrative team appreciates the commitment and dedication that you've given not only to the students, but to your staff as well as to your colleagues. So I wish you nothing but happiness and best of luck on your journey.
Hi, I'm Steve Tatro, faculty member at William R. Sat School. And I was asked to share some comments that the faculty and staff have put together. And I think that the first sentence has already been said 3 times before, really speaks to how clearly Bill brings us across. No one bleeds Holmdel blue the way Bill does. 35 years of service in one place is no easy feat. And yet every day, Bill has committed himself to this community, both as a teacher, a coach, and administrator. He is one of the special administrators who has not forgotten what it is like to be a teacher and has proven time and again to be a fierce advocate for the teachers and the students of this district. He is a problem solver by nature and has always provided clear communication and creative solutions to any and every issue. Even when we have not agreed, he always has made decisions by considering what is best for the students and the school. Bill values relationships above all else, and each staff member who has worked with him or for him can remember some funny joke he shared, or his kindness in asking about our own families, or his love of Bruce Springsteen and the New York Mets. Bill always treated students and staff with kindness and compassion. He has recognized the humanity of individuals and worked to support them however he can. There is no one as passionately and selflessly dedicated to serving the Holmdel school system as Bill has been for more than 3 decades. He makes every student and staff member feel valued and supported, cultivating an environment where every individual is able to grow and thrive, both in the classroom and beyond, even in some of our toughest years. Bill, the staff of the district will miss your leadership and support so much. You are leaving behind shoes that are going to be hard to fill. We wish you all the best wishes in retirement, congratulate you on a long and successful career, and have the utmost gratitude for all of your encouragement and dedication every single day.
Debbie Brew, 15 Cindy Lane. I also would like to thank Mr. Lochran on behalf of myself, and I think a lot of the parents in the district that saw his leadership, appreciated it, and coming to these meetings when he has something in mind that he wants, and I'm watching from, there's no way you're not doing it. So his drive and passion for getting the things he wants for this district are immeasurable. And I'm so grateful, especially when it came to the rotating schedule. My oldest son came in as a freshman without the rotating schedule. When he said it was going to be put into place, it was going to be put into place. And we went on field trips and we were going to put this into place. And every single argument that came up, he ran up before it was time to speak with, here's my solution to that. And we're doing this, and we're doing it in September, and we did it in September. And the freshman class was terrified of it. They didn't want to have it. By the time they graduated senior year, it was the best thing they ever had. And my son, who's in school now, still says it's the best thing they ever had. So things like the rotating schedule is just an example, but I appreciate your efforts in everything in improving our school. I also appreciate your efforts with the alumni. You always recognize the alumni at graduation and everywhere else. You're very interested in all of the history of Holmdel, and he gets beat up on the alumni page sometimes because, no, you got this wrong. Why did you take down the track ticks in the gym? And he corrects people a lot and helps actually the alumni on the page as well. So I appreciate you trying to answer all their questions continuously. The number one thing that I really appreciate about Bill is his communication, because, 10 years I've been coming up here about communication. I have told superintendent and many others that everyone should go by the template of Bill's communication. From a parent's perspective, it's second to none. So I really appreciate all your communication and everything you've done here. So thank you. I also want to speak to Mrs. Campbell. All 3 of my children had a wonderful foundation here, as did thousands in the district, thanks to Mrs. Campbell. It's the one teacher I did for my last one take that advantage and say, I want him in that class. So I just want to thank her for her dedication to the district all these years and the difference that she has made in so many children's That is a dedicated person. I am so blessed and grateful and lucky that all of my children had her for kindergarten. So thank you.
Okay, that's pretty tough. Thank you for everyone's comments. Definitely big shoes to fill. So we will unfortunately have to move on to action items only. So put it down so I don't mess it up. We have a bunch of items here. So board members, we're going to be voting on items 1 through 8, 12 through 17, and 23 through 48. We'll be pulling items number 9, 10, and 11, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Are there any other items anyone else would like to pull? See none? Mike, we have a roll call? Oh, motion, sorry. And 21, yep. 22 we're voting on, sorry about that. Up to 21. Yeah, 22 to 48, thank you. Just making sure you're listening. It's very important. Thanks. Can I get a motion? A second? Okay, roll call, Mike.
Mr. Reddy,
Yes.
Mr. Wall,
Does this include the bill list? Okay, so
I think that's
I'm a
last
yes
one.
on all and a no on any bill regarding high tops. The entire bill? Okay. Any revised bill on high tops, I'm a no.
Mrs. Briamonte,
Yes.
Mrs. Zhang,
Yes.
Dr. Kalur,
Yes.
Mrs. Tassilo,
Yes.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes.
Mr. Damari,
I'm a no on 48, the high tops bill.
Yeah,
Yes for everything else.
Mr. Reddy, can I just clarify something for the board?
Yes, please do.
And I just, there was an agenda revision that was provided. So by voting yes on the bills list, you're voting yes on the bills list with that particular PO removed from the bills list. The high tops PO does not appear on the bills list. It's been removed. So
Right.
there's no need to vote no on it because it is no longer on the bill list.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Casco. I thought there was a revision to the invoice and there remained a balance of the invoice. So
I
based,
see what you're saying. Yeah. I understand.
correct. So a yes, yes, clean on the entire bill list based on the representation from Dr. Casco. Thank you.
Mr. Mann,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Jeff, could you read item number 9?
It's the acceptance of monetary donation from the Holmdel Foundation for Educational Excellence. Resolved that the board accept with gratitude the monetary donation from the Holmdel Foundation for Educational Excellence in the amount of $16,128.87 to fund the 2023-2024 mini grants as on file in the office of the superintendent.
Thank you. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Vote, roll call?
Mr. Reddy,
Yes, thank you very much.
Mr. Wall,
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Briamonte,
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Zhang,
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Kalur,
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Tassilo,
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Damari,
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Mann,
Yes, and thank you.
motion passes. Thank you.
Thanks. Chris, could you do number 10? Since I know you're very involved with the HYA.
Okay. Acceptance of monetary donation from the Holmdel Youth Activities Association, HYAA. Resolved that the board accept with gratitude a monetary donation from the HYAA not to exceed $1,277 to be designated for the Holmdel High School Athletic Activity Fund.
Have a motion?
Move.
Thank you. Roll call?
Mr. Reddy,
Yes, thank you for another donation, because if everyone recalls, they donated the scoreboard a few months back, so appreciate the partnership that the HYA continues to do. Thank you.
Mr. Wall,
Yes, thank you very much.
Mrs. Bringamonte,
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Zhang,
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Kalura,
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Tasillo,
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Damari,
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Mann.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Sarika, could you read item number 11?
Acceptance of monetary donation from Holmdel Creative Arts Association. It is resolved that the board accept with gratitude a monetary donation from HCAA not to exceed $1,000 to be designated for the Holmdel High School TV and Film Society to cover the annual Film Festival Awards.
Have a motion? A second? Vote?
Mr. Reddy,
Yes, thank you very much.
Mr. Wall,
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Bringamonte,
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Zhang,
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Kalura,
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Tasillo,
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Damari,
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Mann.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Mike. I'm gonna take number 18 because if I don't, my wife, brother-in-law and sister-in-law will probably give me a lot of grief over this weekend, knowing that Mr. Logren was I think my wife's first English teacher a long time ago. So number 18, acceptance of retirement, principal WR Sat School. Whereas Mr. Logren has served the Holmdel Township Schools with distinction since September 1st, 1988. And whereas Mr. Logren has faithfully executed his duties with skill and competency, and whereas Mr. Logren has earned the respect of his colleagues and community residents, and whereas Mr. Logren has submitted a letter announcing his retirement from the Holmdel School District effective July 1st, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved that the Holmdel Township Board of Education accept Mr. Logren's retirement with deep gratitude for Mr. Logren's dedication, loyalty, and outstanding services performed, and further extend to Mr. Logren its best wishes for a happy and healthy retirement. Motion? Second? Any discussion? I'll start this one. Bill, I know I've sat up here for about a decade. It's a pleasure working with you. It truly is. I mean, what everyone said, all your faculty and everything. When I walked in, I was like, I saw Mr. Dowd, I saw Mr. Devaney, and you got a lot of years of experience and huge shoes to fill. You really don't. I mean, regardless of what people want to do. Like I remember 2 years ago when we did Dr. White, Richard White Lane or Way, and there's certain people in districts over the years, at least, you just don't necessarily replace them. They go on, they leave, but you will leave an indelible mark in this district forever. I know I appreciate it. Loyalty is one of my biggest things. Showing up every day is one of my biggest things. And you did that for 35 years. I have nothing but respect for those people that do that. So just thank you so much for all your dedication. You're a true bastion to this district, and you won't be replaced. You'll never be forgotten. And I appreciate everything you've done for this district. And I know on behalf of my wife, brother-in-law, and sister-in-law, who you taught a long time ago, English, I believe it was, they'll definitely appreciate you and thank you, and enjoy your retirement, man. I would love to be there with you one day soon. So thank you. Any other board member comments? Since we have a few alums.
Yeah, I've only known Mr. Logren as I didn't go to the high school, so I didn't have you as a teacher because RBC, but had you as John shakes his head at me, did have you as a principal, not only at the high school, but at SATS. So with two of my kids, I am sad that my third and fourth don't get to be under your leadership. And you have been a true leader in this district. It's appreciated. I've enjoyed our chats. And all of your innovation over the years has been appreciated, and you will be missed.
I'll just comment that I appreciate the many years, decades of dedicated service. Mr. Lochran, the English teacher and track coach in the 90s when I was a student. I didn't have you though. Maybe you had one of my siblings, but I do appreciate the sister. So I do appreciate, it was great coming back and seeing that you're still with the district and putting in all that time. My son Leo was excited to see you at SATS next year and get the fist pump. but enjoy retirement. Thank you.
Scott.
So I just wanted to say a few words to first congratulate Bill. Coming into a district brand new, one of the such a valuable thing is historical and institutional knowledge as a new superintendent. And no one has more of that than Bill, and so that's been tremendously helpful to me. I've repeatedly, used Bill as sort of a go-to person in understanding, the past, why we did things, why things evolved the way they did. And, that's going to be missed. There's no question about that. You can't replace that. While looking back over my career to date, I may have accomplished a number of things. One thing that I will never accomplish is what you have, which is being in a community, invested in a community for 35 years. I'll never have that. Most people don't have that, right? And so as you move into retirement, I mean, that's something that legacy, that what you've meant for 35 years and what you've contributed for 35 years, not a lot of people have been able to do that, right? So certainly something, if I may, that about which you should be very proud. But I will absolutely miss your knowledge and your beautiful mind, man, because it is truly a beautiful mathematical mind the man has. So perhaps you can have a cottage industry in doing scheduling consulting, because no one does it better than you do, Bill. So wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I just want to thank Mr. Logren for all his.
All right, Eileen, that was really good. That was impressive.
I don't really need to say anything after that, quite honestly. Bill, thank you for everything you've done for the school. You've really been able to answer pretty much any question that anyone's really ever had regarding the high school and SETs as well. So we appreciate all that knowledge you brought, and we wish you luck in your retirement and lots of enjoyment and sleeping in and all those great things that will come. So again, thank you very much and enjoy your retirement.
All right, I guess we have to do a vote on the 5
Can I say
decades.
something? Can I
Oh,
say something?
absolutely.
Yes.
Linda, yes, please.
I want to thank Bill for your contributions to this school district. 35 years is long. I mean, that you left great marks in many Holmdel schools, these students, residents, and in their best memories. Really appreciate your dedications, your effort, your professionalism. Thank you very much. Wish you the best for your retirement.
Thank you, Linda. So we'll have a vote on our 5-decade player. So if anyone knows, like, there's not many baseball players that are 5 decades. Like Ricky Henderson was a guy who played in 5 decades. Bill Logren has been a guy who's been here for in part of 5 decades. So Mike, if you could do a roll call, please.
Mr. Reddy.
Yep, I'm gonna say yes. Congratulations, Bill. Still got another month of work left, so enjoy it. Enjoy the heck out of it. You will definitely be missed. Thank you.
Mr. Wool.
I'm going to abstain. Enjoy your retirement.
Mrs. Primanti.
Yes, enjoy retirement.
Mrs. Zhang.
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Clore.
Yes, thank you for your outstanding service and the 35 years. I appreciate it. Enjoy your retirement here.
Mrs. Tasillo.
Sadly, yes.
Mr. Buckley.
Yes, thank you for your decades of service and outstanding leadership. We're going to be missed.
Mr. Damari.
Yes, enjoy your retirement, Bill.
Mr. Mann.
Yes, thank you and enjoy retirement.
Motion passes. Congratulations, Bill.
Thank you, Mike. Kim, would you mind reading number 19?
Sure. Acceptance of retirement for first grade teacher at Village School. Whereas Miss Doreen McFarland has served the Holmdel Township Public Schools with distinction since July 19th, 1995. And whereas Miss McFarland has faithfully executed her duties with skill and competency. And whereas Miss McFarland has earned the respect of her colleagues, community residents, and whereas Miss McFarland has submitted a letter announcing her retirement from the Holmdel Township School District effective July 1, 2023. And now therefore it be resolved that the Holmdel Township Board of Education accepts Miss McFarland's retirement with deep gratitude for Miss McFarland's dedication, loyalty, and outstanding services performed, and further extend to Ms. McFarland its best wishes for a happy and healthy retirement.
Thank you, Kim. Can we have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Any discussion?
One of my kids did have Miss McFarland and had a very, it was a year that I didn't hear complaints going to school. So very, again, it's hard when you're, eventually everyone has to go. But again, it's just one of those sad moments to lose a good teacher that keeps kids motivated to going into school, especially so young. It's very hard to keep them motivated. She was one of those.
Can we have a motion? Oh, second? I did that already. Thank you. Vote, roll call, please.
Mr. Reddy,
Yes, thank you very much for your 28 years of service. Definitely big shoes to fill. Thank you.
Mr. Wall,
Yes, all the best on your retirement.
Mrs. Briamonte,
Yes, enjoy retirement.
Mrs. Zhang,
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Kalor,
Yes, thank you for your services.
Mrs. Tassilo,
Yes, thank you very much.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes, thank you for your service.
Mr. Damari,
Yes, thank you. And my daughter also had Miss McFarland, and it was a phenomenal experience. So thank you.
Mr. Mann.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mike. Eileen, would you mind reading number 20? Please.
Yep. Acceptance of retirement for kindergarten teacher at Village School, whereas Ms. Gail Campbell has served the Holmdel Township Public Schools with distinction since July 19th, 1995. And whereas Ms. Campbell has faithfully executed her duties with skill and competency. And whereas Ms. Campbell has earned the respect of her colleagues and community residents. And whereas Ms. Campbell has submitted a letter announcing her retirement from a Holmdel Township School District effective July 1, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved that the Holmdel Township Board of Education accept Ms. Campbell's retirement with deep gratitude for Ms. Campbell's dedication, loyalty, and outstanding services performed, and further extend to Ms. Campbell its best wishes for a happy and healthy retirement.
Thank you, Eileen. Can we have a motion? And discussion?
So,
Miss Kim or Terrence?
oh, sorry. I have 5 nieces and nephews that have had Miss McCampbell. One is in her class right now. And my kindergarten niece that has her right now literally does not want to go to first grade because wants to have Miss McCampbell again next year. And when I told my sisters that she was retiring, it was like, no, because there's still one more niece to go and they were hoping to also have her. So she will be greatly missed by so many children.
And I'll just echo that and say, if you opened OpenAI and asked ChatGPT-4 to define incredible in no more than 2 words, Gail Campbell. As far as educators, she's really fantastic to our kids. Had the benefit, the special privilege to be educated by her, and it's nice to be able to share that experience with the public. And also to Gail Campbell, thank you so much for everything that you do for all the children in Holmdel schools, and we appreciate all that you've done and wish you all the best. Thank you. Thank you, Board President.
Yeah, I want to thank Ms. Campbell too. My daughter Julia had her, and thank her for everything she's done for the school and for my daughter. My daughter adored her. So thank you very much. Enjoy retirement.
I don't yet have school-age children, but was recently told that I had to ensure my kids got into Miss Campbell's class. So open to additional recommendations.
Thank you for the comments. Can we have a vote, Mike?
Mr. Reddy,
Yes, thank you for your 28 years of service as well. Miss Barrett has 56 years of experience just retiring tonight in her school. That is, tremendous. Enjoy retirement. Thank you. My children never had you, but I've always heard great things every year. Like, oh, we gotta have Miss Campbell, gotta have Miss Campbell. So definitely big shoes to fill there as well. Thank you.
Mr. Wall.
Thank you. And if your students were here, they would be cheering very, very loudly for you and wishing you all the best. So thank you. Yes, and enjoy your retirement.
Mrs. Briamonte,
Yes, thank you for all your service.
Mrs. Zhang,
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Kalor,
Yes, thank you for your service.
Mrs. Tasillo,
Yes, you'll be greatly missed.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes, thank you for your service.
Mr. Damari,
Yes, thank you. Enjoy retirement.
Mr. Mann.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes. Congratulations.
All right, Terrence, you want to read number 21?
Sure. This is the acceptance of retirement for a custodian, one of the critical aspects of our district and village school. Whereas Ms. Donna Abrahamson has served the Holmdel Township Public Schools with distinction since August 30th, 2004. And whereas Ms. Abrahamson has faithfully executed her duties with skill and competency, and whereas Ms. Abrahamson has earned the respect of her colleagues and community residents. And whereas Ms. Abrahamson has submitted a letter announcing her retirement from the Holmdel Township School District effective July 1st, 2023. Now therefore be resolved that the Holmdel Township Board of Education accepts Ms. Abrahamson's retirement with deep gratitude for Ms. Abrahamson's dedication, loyalty, and outstanding services performed, and further extend to Ms. Abrahamson its best wishes for a happy and healthy retirement.
Thank you, Terrence. Could we have a motion? Any discussion? See none. Mike, can we have a vote, please?
Mr. Reddy,
Yes, thank you very much and enjoy your retirement.
Mr. Wall,
Yes, thank you for keeping our schools safe and secure for the children. And we appreciate the efforts of yourself and your peers. Yes, all the best to you.
Mrs. Briamonte,
Yes, enjoy retirement.
Mrs. Zhang,
Thank you for your services. Yes.
Dr. Kalor,
Yes, thank you for your service.
Mrs. Tasillo,
Thank you. Enjoy retirement.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes, thank you for your service.
Mr. Damari,
Yes, thank you. Enjoy your retirement.
Mr. Mann.
Yes, enjoy retirement.
Motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mike. Brings us up to old business. The only thing I want to say on the action items that we just went through is this month, and I think 2 months or last month, there's 179 years amongst just 6 individuals that are leaving this district from, Mr. Devaney was here before, Mr. Patterson from Indian Hill. So that is a massive, massive amount of experience that we'll be losing. I don't know if there's ever been a time you have that many teachers leave or employees leave this district with that much tenure. So, wow. Any old business? that you-
President Reddy.
Yeah, please.
I apologize. May I just make one mention
course.
of one thing that was on the
Absolutely.
agenda?
Yes, sir.
I just want to acknowledge that the board tonight appointed Gwen Lauder, who's here in attendance with us tonight as the new K-12 supervisor of mathematics and business education. So just wanted to. Ms. Lauder comes to us from the Bergen County Technical Schools, where she served as the supervisor of mathematics, business, and career and technical education for the last 4 years. And prior to that, she was a mathematics teacher there. So welcome, Ms. Lauder. We look forward to having you on board. Thank you, Mr. Reddy.
No, thank you, Scott. Sorry about that. I did not see you back there in last month. I was virtual, so with all the people in the audience. So nice to meet you personally. So any board members, old business? Terrence got something?
Yes, I've, I guess, two items under all business. One, you may recall last year, we discussed the toxic shock syndrome, the Maddie Masabni, Madeline's Law, dedicated to a beautiful young lady who tragically lost her life when she was 19 years old. She graduated from Rumson Fairhaven in 2016. Her mother continues, and her brother, and folks that are supporting continue to fight for Madeline's Law. This is a law requiring school districts to incorporate age-appropriate instruction, grades 4 through 12, on menstrual toxic shock syndrome, and requires installation of warning signage in certain women's rooms to enhance public awareness of menstrual toxic shock syndrome. The warning sign would also be installed on or near a tampon dispenser. Folks may not recall, it was about a year ago that this was incorporated in Holmdel District's curriculum. And I believe you met a parent recently that also went to an event that I want to just share with you. Is tonight. It's going on right now. This is called Butterflies for Maddie. It's the 3rd annual fashion show fundraiser that benefits the Don't Shock Me Foundation. So I just want basically tying to the old business, but also updating you that the work continues. And the reason I'm mentioning it here is to again bring awareness to this extremely important issue for young women in our schools. And hopefully you'll be hearing passage of bill number, whether it's S636 or Assembly A3567, called Madeline's Law. And that's Dawn Masabni's legacy of love to her daughter, Maddie. So that's my update on that one particular item, Board President. And the other item is just, we previously had done the senior surveys, not talking about the high school item now, but just as a reminder, I think at the last end of school year, the kids had graduated, and I think I recall a bit of a drop off in the ability to get those surveys back. I think it was a useful tool for administration. So I just wanted to remind, the school's about to end. So I just want to remind on the survey that we've done in the past, hence old business, that we work on the timing, especially with Qualtrics, the survey software that allows you to survey, just like so many companies do, even your cell phone company, to survey the students on the various questions that were designed by administration to get input from them, because we're grading them K through 12. What's their grade for us? How are they doing? How are our educators doing? What could we do better? And then perhaps incorporate that into future planning. I just want to mention that particular survey while there's some time to ponder it, perhaps revise the questions and make sure we have it out on time so we get that data set back.
Sure. And so we, Dr. Kokoda, and I have been working on this over the course of the year. Dr. Kokoda has created a survey within Qualtrics, which is going to be administered to the students senior week. Dr. Kokoda, are you still here? What's the date again? Yeah. Right. Copy that. So, and through that, we're also going to collect personal contact information so that we can grow our alumni network and have a means to communicate with them on an ongoing basis for a variety of reasons. So thank you for your work on that.
Board President, I just one brief follow-up. Has administration continued extending that to juniors, sophomores, and freshmen as well? So obviously each grade may have their own insights and inputs, or would that be an idea that's too complicated? Or can we perhaps hit each grade and try to get, and then you could see what's happening, what trends over time. I just wanted to put that out there on the table.
Yeah, so I got it. Thanks, Matt. So we did recently administer a comprehensive survey to students in grades 7 through 12 on Qualtrics as part of the strategic action plan process. In terms of creating annual opportunities for students to provide feedback, I think it's a great idea. I think it's something that we can certainly consider as we develop action plans according to the strategic plan, but we do have a rich data set presently, which we've just solicited from students in grades 7 through 12. You're welcome.
Thank you, Scott. I definitely, Terrence, echo your comments. I remember years ago when, Bill, I don't know if it was if you had moved to SATS at that point of the high school, but I remember, when we got the first survey, the raw data was tremendous. The raw data was tremendous in terms of what the students were saying. Like, I remember there was so much stuff on there, like, why am I taking financial literacy as a freshman when, when it's senior, I'm getting a job and I'm doing an application and a resume and all those different things. There were so many eye-opening things that you don't really think about it unless you're a senior or junior or, of those years. And expanding it to 9 through, the younger grades may not be a bad idea, because by the time Trinity Hahn's graduating, whatever she sees is bad about Holmdel, it's not going to help her anymore. It may help her, the people that come before her, which is great. So at least I'm glad we're looking at it and continually doing that, because if the quest is to keep getting better, that's one great way to do it. And if anything, they're the customers, so if we're not doing a good job with the customers, well, that's a problem. So, and on your Madeline's Law, the only thing I brought up, and hopefully we could do it again next year, when we had and I mentioned it a couple of meetings ago, we had the pediatric concussion and heart screening a few years ago. That was a really good thing. And I know it got quiet during COVID and things like that, but just something else to put on the agenda for next year, because if it's offered and more proactive, the last thing you want to do is all of a sudden not know something like that and things like that. And that's the worst possible thing. So
I appreciate that. I recalled you, I made note of that because that was something that was new to me, obviously not having been here. So I do have a meeting set up this summer, myself, Mr. Casal and Dr. Kokoda with an organization that does that, just to understand what their capacity is, cost, things of that nature. So we are interested in maybe starting that over again next year.
I think we did it 1 year, and I think it was a big showing. A lot of people showed up, and then I know my wife took the kids to Princeton or somewhere else when we didn't have it, and then we've come up with one. So yeah, if anything, it's
We're on it for you.
appreciate it.
Yep.
Any other old business? New business? I got one. Mine's easy. Want to thank the IT guys. We never talk about IT. 100%, Anthony, your guys. You never hear problems, never hear complaints, never hear issues. Yeah, I'll give you a round of applause. Network never going down. I mean, obviously the all those, cyber attacks. I know my company's big into the cyber attacks, and it's, less noise is great. So thank you. And also to the, Mike, to your guys, I got kids who play baseball and soccer and everything like that. The fields are always in spectacular shape. So tremendous job by Matt DeBlasi and Mr. Kret and that whole crew of guys on the softball fields and baseball fields all year. Fields look great. And then and the custodians, like Terrence said, definitely these schools are spotless always. You come in anytime. I mean, and I know you have an open lunch. There's hundreds and hundreds of kids in this school just eating everywhere, and somehow every morning the place is still in great shape. So just wanted to thank all those different organizations that are outside the teachers that really do a great job of giving the teachers the ability to educate and do what we need to do here. So Terrence.
Yes, the two brief items. One is a tangent to the survey, a different survey. There's been discussions and fantastic information that's come out recently in high school start times. Putting aside the decision of when and how and what fashion, if so or not, just putting that aside, I would be very interested if the board were interested in surveying the students and their families, of course. I would say probably it could be the entire district, or at least 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, the immediately impacted folks with some basic information, which is, do you prefer current, or do you prefer plan A or a variation thereof, the language being created by admin that's appropriate. But basically, do you want to start when we are? Do you want to start perhaps 8:15 that was discussed? So just having basically whatever version that consensus is on, but get the question out there, get the input from the parents, get the input from the stakeholders on the start time, because it's so impactful, that time, regardless of where you land on that topic. That's item number one. Maybe I'll stop there for a moment. Then I had a quick second one.
The only thing I would say is that, yeah, I think at this juncture, gathering some feedback from the community is wholly appropriate. I do think that I do think it should be district-wide, because the proposed plan would impact the start time of Indian Hill. So I think we'd want to get in, and we'd have to, in the construction of the survey, really think through that. But yeah, I mean, I think at this juncture, we're at that point where to get some insights from our community is wholly appropriate, and we can certainly start working on that.
Any input?
I just think that we have to be somewhat careful by offering too many options, and because I think that administratively, if we need to go to the 3 tiers, it's going to have, I think I would agree, maybe putting out there the option of Village or Indian Hill, which do you prefer to be the earliest time type of situation. But I think giving too much, like, what start time do you think? I think that that's too in-depth. I think to me, the middle tier of the 8:15 time start that was discussed for the complex should just kind of be it. And then you're just looking at the start times for Village and Indian Hill, which could flip-flop based on community, which way the community wants to go. But staff, I don't know. I think that gets a little hairy. And I wouldn't necessarily, I think it's more community support on what they think is best for their kids as far as which school should be the earliest start or not. Some of it we have to leave to the administration and, in my world of education, kind of transportation rules the world. And, some of that will be because some of those times are dependent on what transportation can actually make happen. So I cautiously say, yes, we need a survey, but just watch what it is.
I just want to put it out there, and I do agree it should be the whole district, and the board is elected to make decisions. But the extent to which you can have data points and inputs from your stakeholders is really important. The separate issue, one may say you're surveying the community because you're looking at nearly $1 million in savings on transportation, which is a separate piece entirely, but it ties to the strain on the budgets.
Is there a deadline date where we need to make a decision if we do decide to move forward to implement this for September?
You mean next September?
Yeah.
Yeah, like not 3 months from now.
Oh, we're not talking about 3 months from now.
I think, when I've heard that, I remember when Mr. Logren came up here a few months ago. But my thought was, okay, we're one of 9 people, and yes, we do make decisions. And I know in 10 years up here, we've made a lot of decisions, which is great. Make a decision, right or wrong, fix it, whatever. But this one, the biggest thing as one of 9. This is one thing I don't want to rush right into for certain, because this district since 1972 has had the high school going to school before everyone else. So it's a pretty big shift. I actually agree with the shift, but I'm one person. There's 2,951 students in this district. So I'd love to know, the details of the survey, who knows? But to me is, okay, what's the general consensus of the town? Is it 95% to 5 saying absolutely, let's do it? Or is it 50-50? It's 50-50. For me, I'm like, okay, I would be leaning to just keep as it is. I mean, I just want to know, is it really big or is it sort of in the middle? Like that'd be nice to know. And I don't know that answer. I know a lot of people I talk to say, oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
That's what we're trying to find out, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Right. So
And everyone has different views. I lament that we're timing ourselves out. I've been chatting about it for over 6 years. So, and I've experienced and heard and experienced personally these start times. They're just, my own view is that it should start as soon as possible. And I lament that we time ourselves out by not having forward motion. That's just an opinion, that we create our own unforced error on making decisions because of the time lapse in getting the data and moving on things on a more timely basis.
We must have been paying attention to other things. I thought we were talking about September, and we had community members come up and also say this, but I don't know what the right answer is. I'm just saying, instead of continue to talk about it, if we're going to get survey feedback, which is always great, that's obviously going to push it out.
We've never gone that far yet. I know this because I know back when we did the referendum, I thought it was okay, get through the referendum, the $40 million project. Then this thing called COVID happened. And now here we are a couple of years later. But this is the most in-depth conversation we've had about it. I remember, Bill could talk about, they talk about rotating schedules for how many years, then all of a sudden we put it into place, and then boom, it was in place in SATs like a year or two later. So I'm happy to see this conversation because I think it is forward progress. If it's dead on arrival, that's a different story. If the entire district is like, no way, we want to keep it as is, I'm hoping it's not.
That would be $1 million in transportation savings.
Oh, there's real money. Exactly.
So
there's real operational savings, things
prioritize
like that.
what's
But,
important.
are you running the district to save money? Are you running the district to?
I
keep your
also think that
stakeholders
there's
and
like a
things?
middle, in my personal opinion, there's also, if, because there's a big if any contract union things can be settled, that a middle of the road option, because that's usually where I find my way, is somewhere in the middle, is that we get the complex on the schedule for September, because that schedule is really in place. But again, the union, and leave the other 2 schools as is, which would mean we wouldn't have a savings in transportation for next year. And then the following year, we could look at making it into a 3-tier.
The only challenge with that, Mr. Sillo, is that we can't operate the school, at least 2 of the school schedules need to change. Start times need to change in order for us to be able to stand pat with busing, right? Because if you go to 8:15 at the complex, but you keep, and you're saying you keep Village and Indian Hill at the same time. Yeah. That would represent a change in busing, because we would only have the half an hour between the complex schedule and the Indian Hill schedule, whereas now they're more spread out. And so it enables us, now we're able to do 3 tiers because of the 3 different start times. But if you go to 2 start times and they're that close together, it becomes a challenge for transportation. But I want to take a couple steps back, and when we got together, when the board got together for its retreat in July, with myself and members of the Central Office Administration, and we set our goals for the year. Those goals, those are the goals that, insofar as my planning and my work with the administrative team, is what's been guiding our work. Now, that's not to say that from time to time, board members have interest in topics which are brought up. My perspective, as we brought up and we started to discuss this high school start time, was that we were reopening the conversation on it. Being completely candid, it was never really my understanding or impression, based upon my previous experience with ushering in major systems changes like this, that it was really ever on the table for September. Certainly, this is just my opinion, you can agree to or disagree with it, but when we're talking about this, to me, this is a decision that needs to precede both the budgeting process, it needs to precede the scheduling process. We're in the master schedules for the middle school and the high school are done. Kids are scheduled, staffing's determined. Now, I don't know what impacts there would be on schedule or staffing if this were to go into place, but suffice to say, it would be a change. And we're about to send out schedules to kids in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And there does also remain the challenge that in order to make this happen, there needs to be change to the collective bargaining agreement with the HTEA. Now, we have a preliminary meeting scheduled for June 2nd of next week, and that process may go smoothly, right? But to me, just having project managed and brought new initiatives in, and to me, that's a lot to get done in 3 months. And I think just when you think about getting your community comfortable with it, getting to a place where this is what we want to do, and getting everyone feeling comfortable with it, to me, it's a lot to get done in 3 months, considering everything that's already been decided based upon the current schedule.
May I say something?
Sure.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest change for 2,000 students here over in the school district, almost involved every family their schedule too. I don't know what, in this, we started this discussion probably last 2 meetings. I don't know how high the priority is with everything going on here in the school district, and what the risk is, and what's the benefit we get back if we do this. And if we do this because we save money on the bus, or we do this just because the school started too early for past 30 years. I think we did this. I'm not thinking that's not a good idea to start the bus a little bit later, so students can wake up and they wake up later. Doesn't mean they sleep more. I mean, you can go to bed early. I'm a morning person. I never think, wake up early is an issue, but that's to being said, how important this is for the school district? What's the priorities on, if you, like the strategic planning, like last year we put in there, where this one it is, right? How disruptive this change could be. I think we need to think before we implement anything here. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Scott, anything else? I see your mic on. You're good.
I think I'm good.
Okay. No hot mic. Okay. The only thing I would ask is, I don't know what the time frame we want to do on it, but to me, the biggest thing would be, as we're having this conversation, is when can we get a survey done? No answer required now, but within the next month, next few weeks, whatever it is. And it could be a very broad, like, do you want to start early or do you want to start later? Very simple. Not that, just so we have a good pulse of what the town really wants, as opposed to what we think they might want. because I don't, so I think it's good discussion. So thank you.
I think it's new, just to add one other thing, I think it's nuanced as well, because for example, combining the middle school, putting the complex on one schedule would necessitate, for example, middle school and high school students riding the same buses. Like, to me, like that's a piece of information that needs to be included in sort of key bullet points. Like these are the implications if that were to occur. Are you comfortable with that? Right. So there, and I think your point is a good one as well, Kim, which is like, okay, which, if you have children in both of these schools, which one would you prefer to start earlier? So whenever you're constructing a survey, it's an art, right? To make sure that the data you're getting is reliable and valid and is giving you the information that you need. But in terms of the timeline, I know you said you didn't need an answer, but certainly we could create a survey within a couple of weeks and have it out. That's not a problem. We can get that done.
Thanks, sir. Any other new business?
Just one more item,
Yeah.
and thank you. This is more dialogue than probably the last 30 years in the last 3 months. So that's just great right there. Having communication, not a poster in a conference room, but really here in front of the public. The last one is brief. We have this, as most folks know, we have this brush fire that's going to turn into an inferno called OpenAI and ChatGPT and GPT-4 and all the other iterations that are out there. I spoke briefly to the superintendent today. I was going to just mention the topic. It's on everybody's minds in certain ways. It's going to change healthcare. It's going to change engineering. It's going to change. It's already changing law, and it's changing a lot of programming. You can ask for a 100-word essay and write it and tell it to write it at a 4th grade level and add mistakes. How do you filter that with the software that exists right now? It doesn't exist right now. So I just want to bring up the topic. Holmdel is such a smart district and so much tech going on, so many STEM classes and all kinds of different things, and super smart kids and parents that really care a lot. I just want to bring it up from a policy standpoint, not for discussion today, just to put it out there, that from a C&I perspective for curriculum, there are pros and cons. There are things that are going to be tremendous. I could tell you, it's the first industry that was in front of Congress, according to a couple of senators, that asked to be regulated. They asked to be regulated. They asked the owner of OpenAI if they can establish drone technology, so the drones decide in a military situation who to shoot without any human intervention. The owner said, I don't recommend that. That should not be legal. The senator said, that wasn't my question. My question is, can you do it? And the answer was, yes, we can. Really serious stuff. So when it comes to education, I just want to put it out there that this is going to be inculcated in the body of education, and it probably already is in certain respects. So I don't know how our educators are managing it, and perhaps teaching or educating folks on our students, and how do you screen for it, and how do you capitalize on it, because it's in its infancy. It's growing and growing. If you listen to the hearings, they're fascinating. I think the folks that created it are afraid of it. And then there are also many positive things. So I just want to put that out there as an item for curriculum, for administration, and pass it down to Dr. Cascone, because I mentioned that today, just that I wanted to share this dialogue and to what extent will it impact education moving forward. And Holmdel usually stays ahead of the curve. So this is just part of that. Thank you.
I just want to say that the impact that I've seen is more handwritten, like get it actually moving away from computer documents and actually having assignments handwritten and using class time to do it. Like in the immediate right now, that's what I'm seeing. So teachers are definitely aware and they are adjusting course. So does anyone else want to comment on that? Because otherwise I have one new item. Okay, so no. So I just want to say, as you were talking, you did like a shout out. So I just want to shout out Mr. Mike Casal and Mr. David Katz, who seem to always be here. You're always here. And I'm assuming that's all year. So I'm just here right now for the spring sports. But I feel like obviously it's all year round because sports are all year round. Thank you for your dedication and your time. David Katz is our athletic trainer. Mike Casal is our supervisor of athletics. It is, Monday through Friday, Saturdays, I don't know, you just seem to be always here, and it is appreciated. So that's my shout out. And because we're on the survey kick, as part of coaches' evals, consider adding in a athlete survey on the coaches to get feedback as part of the of your evals. Not that, you know, it may or may not hold weight or, you know, whatever, but just that is something that my own, you know, daughters and her friends and other, you know, sports have said, like, they never ask us what we think of the coaches. So that was it.
Thank you, Kim. I couldn't agree with you more. Obviously, having 2 high school kids and going through many teams, coaches want to always get better. How are you going to get better if you aren't told what you do good, what you do bad, how you can improve? So I would definitely second that if that's possible. Brings us to question. Oh, Eileen, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
so on new business, Dr. Gascon, maybe you guys are already researching it, but come next March, the SAT is going to be all digital. It will no longer be a paper test. So I know we have a course right now that we give in the high school that potentially might need to be reviewed in order to incorporate the changes that are going to come about come March of 2024. So I just wanted to put that out there.
You mean the SAT course?
Yeah, the SAT
Okay.
course, yeah.
So you have no choice. It's digital and that's it.
You will not.
What if you have a 504 accommodation that you can't take it on the computer?
I don't think College Board has really given out that kind of information yet, just that they're going to go digital 2024.
Just because
There's-
I know, like, I personally know people that even
Right.
NJSLA and things like that, like they're taking everything on paper. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't,
Hopefully. Okay.
yeah.
Appreciate that, Mr. Bramante. Definitely look into it. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the public? All right, good. See none. Awesome. No, please come up. Absolutely open for Ms. Perez.
Hi, Jill Perez, 6 Week Briar Lane. Last week, I had a chance to speak about some books in the library. And I really am grateful that you listened, you know, that everybody listened, because we're all in this together as parents. And I just wanted to take a minute to thank the teachers. Last night I attended the chorus concert and Ms. Roberts did a great job. And what I want to speak to is the power of relationships, because my daughter does have a wonderful relationship with her. And my hope is that that is what we're promoting, because learning happens through relationships. So when we look at these books that we have in our schools, my question is, are they teaching healthy relationships? Because if they are, then I'm okay with that, right? Because relationships are going to look different in every way. You know, and I understand that you took a look at these books, and I'm grateful for that. You know, as a parent right now, there's a lot of things that we're all confronted with. This is, as you pointed out, the world of AI. There's a lot going on. Everything is digital. So I really value when teachers take that time to get to know their students, because right now, as I have a teenager and she's looking at all these digital books, I do want her to have some real concrete material. So last week, there was also the topic about paying for AP tests. And quite honestly, I'd rather that money go towards a tangible textbook than the test itself. So as they're studying, you know, I reached out to the AP teacher and I asked, can I have a hard copy of this text? And that has been very valuable for my daughter, because I went out and purchased it. What I'm seeing right now is I'm seeing a lot of our teenagers walk around with the iPods. I see their laptops out. I see their cell phones out. And I don't think that's very conducive to peer relationships as well. You know, I think that what we have to look at in schools is how to foster healthy relationships. That starts with the books in our library. That starts with the teachers, the peers, the parents feeling welcome to come to meetings like this. And I think that that's something we really need to focus on, because even when I look at my daughter going out to the bus stop, she's not making eye contact with her peers, right? She's on her phone and she's looking at it and she's like a zombie, right? So this is all connected, because I really want to make sure that we're fostering our generation that has healthy relationships, that loves everyone. You know, I'm not here to look at different types of relationships. I want to make sure that our students are really being taught what matters, how to care for people, what that looks like in a healthy way and in a moral way. And I don't think that that's so wrong, right? So last week, I may not have spoken to the fact that I am questioning if all the books in the libraries are of moral nature. They can be of different relationships, but are they of moral nature? And are we giving that opportunity to our children to talk about these important relationships in a way that's safe? So, when I bring up some of the teachers, like Miss Roberts, I think she creates a safe space for our students and they could talk about those things. And that's all I want is for our students to be in a safe place where there's healthy material for them and it allows them to be human beings. Because I do think the digital world is kind of pushing our children in a space where they're looking at things that maybe they shouldn't see or they're just not ready to. And that is something that we all have to address as parents and educators. And, I just want to speak to that. And I do want to speak to the fact that the high tops, when you go to their website, you do question their motives. I'm not against students understanding sexuality, but I am questioning when you go to their site, the art of drag, because I am an educator. And the first year I taught, my principal was very old school and he always told us that we need to dress modestly. There was a strict dress code. And I don't think that that's a problem, right? I think that we do need to look at that role of morals and modesty and help to implement that, amongst teachers and parents. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Perez. Definitely, thank you. Any other? Nope. I see none. I don't know. We don't need executive session. We do. I thought we did. Okay. So we will be going into executive session. We will not be make what? Yeah. We will be going into executive session. We may be coming back to take a action item, but we don't know that. And not really sure how long executive session will go, but that'll be it. So a motion to adjourn to executive session? Recession for personal matters that we
Move.
cannot disclose in public. Second, thank you. We are done. Thank you for coming. If you're still out here when we come back.